very rim of known space, justice is a long way away.
Hello, my friends, and welcome to the Space Game Junkie Podcast. I, as always, am your co-host, Brian. And joining me, as always, is your co-host, Spaz.
In space, no one can hear your soundtrack.
Your that's a good one. Your co-host, Julie.
My favorite soundtrack is any game that can play the Rolling Stones in the background.
Have they ever been in a video game? I don't think they have been. They don't seem to branch out from media much, from music much. Like I remember there was a movie Mick Jagger was in called Free Jack, which completely flopped because it wasn't very good. So I think that curtailed his acting career. But yeah, I don't think they've broadened much beyond music, which is fine. That's what they're good at. Your co-host, Thorsten?
2125. I was on a mining colony on Mars.
I know that one. That song. Right. That's from
that song, right?
That's that song, Red Faction Gorilla? Right? Yeah. That was really funny.
I'll link it on the server later.
I believe the song is called Space Asshole, if I remember correctly.
Right.
Your co-host, David.
I lost the beeps, the sweeps, and the boops, or whatever the quote is from the Spaceballs.
Oh, that was pretty close. We don't know where Jacob is. Hopefully he'll show up. Hello, chat. Chris, yes, Stellaris is a pretty good soundtrack. In my opinion, it's probably the best thing about the game, but that's a different podcast. Friends, we are here because Beat Hazard 3 gave me this idea. We've talked about games that we thought had great music, but we never talked about the soundtracks that are our personal favorites, the ones that mean the most to us. So I thought that would be a fun topic to talk about. Because there are so many great video game soundtracks out there, from Final Fantasy to The Sims. I love The Sims. To just so much amazing music has come out of video games since they started putting music in video games. And I'll start with my all-time number one super favorite of all time, Interstate 76. Is my all-time favorite gaming soundtrack. If you guys haven't played this game,
man, Chris,
it doesn't run well on modern hardware. I tried getting it running, and it was kind of not terrific. It's got some frame issues. I couldn't capture it either. That's why I've got the trailer going in the background. I couldn't capture any of it. It's a hard game to get running on modern systems these days, which is a damn shame because there's nothing like it. There's nothing else like it. It's a car combat game that came out in 1997, and it's got like one of the funkiest soundtracks you will ever hear. It's absolutely amazing. Like I listen to the soundtrack almost weekly, like very regularly for the last 20 some years, and I absolutely love it. It fits the game perfectly. If you're not aware, it's a car combat game that takes place in an alternate 1976. What engine did this game use? Was it
what was MechWarrior 2?
Yeah, I was going to say it's the MechWarrior 2 engine, right? They took the MechWarrior 2 engine and turned it into a car combat game. And you'd be like, that might not work. It works. It worked so well.
It worked absolutely perfect.
Oh my god, it's such a good game.
This one and the Interstate 82.
I never played Interstate. I never played the sequel. I heard it wasn't very good, so I never played it.
It wasn't as good as 76, but it was still good.
Okay. The music's amazing. The voice acting is astounding. I mean, the guy that plays Tarsus, you'd swear it's Samuel L. Jackson. It isn't, but you'd swear it's Samuel L. Jackson. And they got John Delancey as the bad guy. So I mean, just it's an amazing game all around. But the music, oh my god! And I think the people who made the soundtrack went on to make the band Third Eye Blind, if I'm remembering correctly. But the music for this game is just absolutely tremendous. It just fits the game so well. It's great to work to. It's great to drive. It's really great to drive to. Like, it's a little scary to drive to because you want to start driving like you do in the game. Don't do that. But yeah, so for me, my top of the top is Interstate 76. I could gush about this game and the soundtrack for probably the whole show, but I'm not gonna because we have other people here. Spaz, do you got one?
Oh yeah. I don't have a link to a playlist for it, but
That's
it's
fine.
one that I listen to pretty much every day. I've got at least one track from it that I've listened to every day, or at some point during a day. And it is the soundtrack to Tetris Effect.
Oh, yes. That one is just delightful. Absolutely. Yeah, that's a good one. That's a really good one. Oh.
That soundtrack, there's so many ways that the tracks are integrated into the stages themselves, and as you get further into the track, the music changes and gets more intense typically. So you get the first third of the way through the stage, the music changes. When you get 2/3 of the way through, you get the full track playing in loop. And if you're just listening to the soundtrack version, great, but it's an excellent soundtrack and works as background to anything you're doing.
Yeah.
It's just awesome to chill to.
Yeah, it's a really great soundtrack. I don't know if I want to drive to it because it's a little low key. I need something a little
fair.
I need something peppier, but to work to or whatnot. Yeah, it's a wonderful soundtrack to do work to. Yeah, folks, if you haven't played Tetris Effect, the game itself is probably one of the finest versions of Tetris you can play. If you've never played Tetris. Would this be a good first?
The thing is, I think that for anyone who's not played Tetris before, they're new to it. Tetris Effect is a great way to start.
Okay, that was what I was wondering. Yeah.
I just linked the link to the Bandcamp for buying the official soundtrack. This is this is the full soundtrack for 10 USD if you want to
that's a steal.
Snag it.
That's an absolute steal.
51 tracks, and yes.
that is a freaking bargain because that soundtrack's amazing and you're getting 51 tracks for $10. My god. Can we all say, by the way, just a side note, Bandcamp is absolutely wonderful if you guys haven't used it. The artists get what is it? Is they get a good chunk of the proceeds. Like Bandcamp takes a small percentage, but it's not as bad as like Steam, if I recall. And then every so often they have a Friday where the bands get the full amount of what you pay. So Bandcamp is an absolutely delightful service if you've never used it. It's very trustworthy. They've been around for years. I've bought dozens of soundtracks off Bandcamp. Yeah, they are absolutely terrific. And if you get the app, you can stream the soundtracks you've purchased through the app at any time. But you can also download them to wherever you want. So it's really a great service if you guys have never used it. And there's so many video game soundtracks on there. I think the soundtrack for MechWarrior 2 just dropped on there like a massive soundtrack that I still need to buy. Come to think of it. But yeah, just a side note, if you guys have never used Bandcamp, yeah, it is an absolutely terrific service. Absolutely terrific. Can't recommend it enough. But yeah, Tetris Effect. Whew. Oh, coming out swinging. That is an excellent soundtrack. My God. Oh yeah. Chris in the chat is mentioning a few like The Dig, which I've never played The Dig, but that was a great soundtrack. Chris, I don't know if you saw, but the guy who did who orchestrated the original Wing Commander soundtracks, he just did a Kickstarter to do orchestral, like to re-record them with an orchestra. So those should be coming out within, I think, the next year or so. So keep an eye on those if you are a fan of the Wing Commander soundtracks. Because, yeah, he just, I think a month or so ago, did a successful Kickstarter for another batch of recordings with an actual orchestra. What the hell's the guy's name? George something. Old Desi? I cannot remember the name. But, yeah, definitely worth looking into if you like the Wing Commander music. Oh God! Ascendancy. Oh my God.
Oh my God! Yeah.
Oh my God. If we get enough into it, yeah, that is definitely going to be on my list at some point. Because my God, the game itself pretty damn good. The AI is kind of a cakewalk, but the music, oh my God, the music for Ascendancy. It is such a crime.
Yeah.
You can't buy that anywhere. It is still a good game. It is still a great game. It does a lot of things that other 4X games still don't do. It's such a good game, and yet you can't buy it anymore anywhere for some reason. It was on the iPad, Ponicus, for a while, but then it disappeared from the App Store, so it's gone from the iPad as well. I know some people who still have old iPads just so they can keep their copy of Ascendancy running. Because I think it won't run on the newer iPads. So, yeah, it's a crime. It's a crime that you can't. I don't know what happened to the Logic Factory, but it's such a damn shame. All right, sorry, Julie. What is your first pick?
Well, I would pick not just a soundtrack, but from a game, but a particular cut from it.
Okay.
And I am going to post that. And the deal is this: when it comes to my taste in music, my top two choices are Rolling Stones, Duke Ellington, and this one is
You got to say what it is, Julie.
Sorry, it's an audio medium. Sorry, Final Fantasy soundtrack, but in particular, Shades Delight. It's used several times in the
which Final
game.
Fantasy? Sorry, which Final Fantasy?
The MMO. The MMO.
Oh, 14.
14. And it's at the end track. But in particular, if you have a Reaper, which is why I first heard this, and you go into where the little guild hall is, it plays this. And I would go in there and just listen to the soundtrack. And it's a very light jazz kind of theme with saxophones, and I really like this. If I was going to choose another part cut from the soundtrack, I don't have a link to it, but it's because of what it is. It would be if those few people who still ride chocobos around. It sounds like traveling music, if you know what I mean. And if you don't, if for those people who are older than the hills and have ever heard of Surrey with the Fringe on top, the beat in the background sounds like a horse trotting. And I just came to mind once when I was on a horse trotting. And so this music that plays when a chocobo is riding through the game, it just sounds like traveling music. But this is the reason this soundtrack comes to mind. It was Final Fantasy 14. And yes, I apologize. I'm so used to seeing the stream chat that I keep thinking, oh, it's not an audio. It's not just an audio medium.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. It happens.
So Shades Delight, because it sounds like jazz, like something Duke Ellington would have wrote when he was alive. And that soundtrack.
I got to tell you, Final Fantasy 14 has an astounding soundtrack. It's a huge, it's like how many albums? Like I think every expansion has its own album. Like it's several albums now worth of soundtracks for that one game. I think my favorite track, if I just may interject, there are several chocobos in the game you guys can get, and one of them is like I think they call it a fat chocobo. And when you're riding the fat chocobo, it has its own music, and it is it's the funniest, most charming music. It's so great. I sometimes ride that thing around just to hear the bump, 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 bump. It's like kind of tuba-ish, it's great. It's so great.
So I suppose I should say, okay, I'll narrow it. Since there are so many Final Fantasy 14 soundtracks, I will say Final Fantasy 14, the MMO / Endwalker.
Oh, Endwalker. Okay, yeah, that does narrow it down. That does narrow it down a bit. I'm trying to keep track so I can add these to the thing. Endwalker, which is part of the base game now, right? Like, because the new expansion came out, so now it's part of the base.
If you buy the game, now I don't know about Steam, but if you buy the game directly from their company, it was included. Yeah.
Oh, okay. And it just had a huge expansion come out too. It looks like.
Yeah, just recently.
Right.
My character isn't that far yet, but yeah.
that is a really great choice. All right, Thorsten, what do you got?
Man, you are aware that I could easily do several shows alone.
I can easily imagine this will be a topic we'll probably revisit. So don't stress about it.
I have so many options, but I start with a very prominent one, and I'll say only 3 words. Karak is burning. It's a Homeworld soundtrack. It's a Homeworld soundtrack, and
of course, yes.
And I mean, alone the idea to use Agnes Day from Samuel Barber as title music is simply wow. But then there is also the original soundtrack by Paul Raskai, and this one is Paul Raskai is probably one of the most gifted musicians on the planet.
Yeah.
His use of unconventional instruments and styles and all these foreign styles, it's simply mind blowing. Still, after all those years, I mean, Homeworld 1 did came out 1999,
yeah,
and the music's
25 years ago. Motherfucker.
The music is still getting me. It's simply mind blowing.
Yeah,
and he did equally good works on the other titles.
Yeah,
there are some incredible tracks in there for sure. Even Imperial Battle theme as well. So many.
Yeah, my personal favorite from Paul Raskai is Raiders of the Ark that was the beginning of Homeworld Cataclysm. Yeah. And that's my favorite track from him by far.
Yeah. Love a good Cataclysm mention.
It must be.
That is a great one, no question. Yeah. I think that's for me. That's probably the most memorable thing about the game is the music. For me.
No, that would be my first pick.
Oh, that's an excellent first pick. All right, we're gonna have to skip Jacob because we don't know where he is. David.
So this list is adjusting every so slowly here. So
no worries.
I'm getting a little bit distracted by some sudden research here.
No worries. No worries.
So I might as well just go back to something more recent when I'm playing here recently. It has been very stressful lately here at home. Yada yada. We don't need to talk about that. So I've been playing a lot of X4 lately, and I was reminded of how I discovered the artist for the soundtrack. Well, for most X games since X3 at least, which is Alexei Zakharov. I think you say his name. First time I heard his music must have been more than 14 years ago, so it's gotta be a couple of years ago with Lament 2. I like listening to music when I'm drawing or working or whatever, and his music is just perfect for me when I just need to do stuff, just get my brain cells going or something like that. It's it's something special with his music, I gotta say. Let me share two examples here.
Wait, did you mention which game this is you're talking about?
Yeah, for X4. And,
Oh, X4. Sorry,
since X3.
yes.
So he does very atmospheric music, so it's not a lot of beats and stuff, but it's yes, it has a feel. Let's just call it that. Some synth sounds there in some of the soundtracks and stuff. Like he has made multiple soundtracks for each DLCs and introduced new music specifically for each faction in X4, which I think is pretty damn cool. And yeah, he remade his Kingdom Men song from X3, which is amazing. So yeah, like once again, when I found his music, well, that Lemon 2 that I shared there before, it was like, oh, I've never heard anything like this before. And then years later, I stumbled upon X3 Turn Conflict. I was like, oh, yeah, the music is pretty good, but I have no idea how to play this game. Oh, God help me. So yeah, then I came back for Albion Prelude and watched a couple of tutorials, and then I slowly started to click with the X series. So I am a late arrival, I suppose.
It's never
But
too
the
late.
music-
It's never too late. It is never too late. But yeah, the music in the X series, I think you're right. It fits it perfectly. Very atmospheric. It just really works well for that those sandboxes they keep making. You know, very, very good soundtracks. I just wrote down the X series because you mentioned multiple X games. I don't remember the soundtracks for the first two games as well as 3 and 4.
Maybe he was brought in by the third entry. Maybe.
I don't know. I mean, it's also been ages since I played the first two. I mean, the game has changes so much in each iteration. My God. So
absolutely.
Yeah, I haven't played the first two in probably decades at this point. That's why I don't remember the music. But yeah, 3 and 4 have excellent soundtracks. Bob Rupert in the chat with the 3030 Death War mention. Cannot go wrong with 3030 Death War. But that is not my second pick. As much as I love 3030 Death War, my second favorite soundtrack of all time has to be Emperor of the Fading Suns. I don't know what I don't know what it is about that goddamn soundtrack, but my God, it hit me in my soul the first time I heard, like, my God, that soundtrack is so bloody good. The game is great too. The game, I mean, since it's been fixed, it wasn't great on launch, but there's actually a new version coming out on Steam soon. But the soundtrack for this game is just it's brooding and it's not fast at all, but my God, it's the perfect background for just about anything. Not everything. My God, there are certain things I would not want to do with the soundtrack on, but just about everything. This is an amazing. I don't even know how to describe it. It's dark. It's very moody. It's I guess brooding is a good word for this soundtrack.
It's basically church music in space.
It's so up tempo. When it gets up tempo, it's still not as up tempo as a lot of other video game soundtracks. Like you've got a couple of battle songs here, and even then they're not like super like Star Wars-y or anything. It's very deliberate in its pacing, but It fits the game perfectly, but this is one of the, this might have been like maybe the second CD I ripped the soundtrack off of into digital files, and I've just listened to it constantly for the last 20. Like, when did Emperor of the Fate? 96, I think it came out. So yeah,
it was 96. Yeah.
yeah. So like, oh my god, almost 30 years. Oh my, okay.
That's such a great Emperor of the Five Fading Suns was on my list too, to be honest.
Oh, that's fine. That's fine. I hope that's okay.
No, not for today. I had to postpone it.
That's fine. Honest. You could talk about that when we revisit it. I don't mind talking about it again.
I'm so happy. I'm so happy that you mentioned it.
Oh my god,
it's simply great.
Oh, it's so good. It's so good. Again, the game is great, and I think when you buy it on GOG or Steam, you will get the soundtrack. It is such a good soundtrack. Dear Lord, oh my god. Yes. So that is my second pick, is Emperor of the Fading Suns. One of my just top soundtracks ever, or anything. Spaz, do you have a second pick?
Yeah, my second pick is, it's one that's kind of obvious, but it's not just one game, it's a series. And so my pick is the soundtracks to the Mass Effect trilogy. There are
very good ones, yes.
There are some very good tracks you can find within that within those three games.
Yeah, excellent. Oh, I know the name of the composer, but do you remember? Because
there are more than one. Jack Wall is the one who's probably most well known. Because of
travel
his
with your kid.
Sorry.
Because of his association with Video Games Live.
Oh. Right. Yeah. So, yeah, I didn't play really the first one, as you all know, but the second two, the second and third, had just astounding soundtracks. Really, really great. I mean, I don't know where those games got the budget, but not only did they have the great soundtrack, they had a great voice cast. Like, the audio for those games, like, in general, is just, my God.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
My freaking God. That Mass Effect is an absolutely terrific pick. Julie, do you have a second one?
I do. And I want to premise this by saying you might not have played the game, but even the soundtrack is worth it. And let me click this into the soundtrack. There you go. It's a game called Okami. Now, I know I said my choice in music is rock and roll and then Duke Ellington, but I lived in Asia for a year and a half. Been to Japan twice, and so this struck a chord when I played it. And if you can't afford it, it's on sale, as you can see, for $6. There are places you can listen to the whole thing for free. It's been released onto the Internet Archive, and it's a Capcom game. It's got several different composers, and I would butcher all their names, so you can just look it up. But it's just wonderful music, and I just, like I said, it struck a note with me, and so it's one of these things, like, because I like the genre, not because I like a particular composer or a particular sound cut.
No, that's fair. You don't have to have a favorite composer. I mean, I probably have a couple, but I am mired in video game soundtracks, so that's fine. But no, I don't even know if I've heard the Okami soundtrack. Come to think of it, I should.
It's quite good.
It is very good, and like I said, it's won awards, at least one award that I know of, and uh, I played it on Switch, but the game I believe is also on Steam, and you can buy it Steam, and like I said, you can listen. I don't know if you can listen to it on YouTube, but you can listen to it on the whole cut on the Internet Archive, and because it's out there, that's one of the first things that comes up. But for a whole bunch of reasons, I linked the soundtrack where you can buy it.
Oh yeah, that's a lot of tracks. 59 tracks for $7, and that's volume 1 apparently. So are there other volumes?
Well, there may be, but that's the only volume I know about.
Julie, there are 5 volumes. Oh my God!
There you go.
Wow,
Well, that
It's a lot of
particular
music.
the music
that's a
from
lot of music. Yeah.
that particular volume is the music where I like the best. So
Okay.
I'm linking that one.
There are 5 volumes. There are. Let's see. Is the game on sale right now? Yeah, the game is on sale, but sadly the soundtracks are not at the moment. Just FYI. I wonder if you can get those on Bandcamp. Just a quick search. Oh wait, what? No. Oh, sort of. No, it's not the same thing. Might not be on Bandcamp. That's still a lot of music. That's a ton of music. Of course, I own the game. I should try it.
Going by the Internet Archive, there are the volumes are Volume 1 Retro, Volume 2 Jazz, Volume 3 Lounge, Volume 4 Healing, the original soundtrack, and the piano arrangement. So, and another one that's in Japanese I couldn't begin to pronounce. So there's actually like 7 different volumes out there available. I don't know if you can buy them all, but like I said, you can listen to them all and go out to the Internet Archive, and they're all there to listen to.
Terrific. I will have to play this game someday. Thorsten, you got a second pick?
Of course. this time I go back in time. I have to go back to the 80s and to the 8-bit computers like the C64, and one of the major composers back then, that was Rob Hubbard. And this guy was a genius, and my pick would be the OST for Zoids. And
for what?
Zoids. I've linked the game. Or better the
Sorry. Zoids. Oh, I've heard of this game. Oh, there was a toy line for these guys too.
Right. The game itself was a franchise of the toy line, and it was in these times when all these mechas were pretty popular, when Robotech came out and BattleTech and all this stuff back then, and this song caught me. I just opened up the game to listen to the music. What I didn't know was that Rob Hubbard basically stole the tune.
What?
And yeah, it's an interesting story.
Oh no!
And basically, it's the same track as it's exactly the same track as a project from the 70s called Synergy. It's one of the early electronic music.
Oh no! Did he get in trouble for it?
As far as I know, not. Made a mistake in the link. Wait a moment.
Yeah, I played with these toys, and I think there was a cartoon also, a very short-lived cartoon back in the day, which I of course watched. But I didn't have a C64, so I never played the game. I will have to.
This is the original version, Ancestor by Synergy, and it's But I like the Zoids version much more because it's much more
Sorry.
thick.
Sorry, I'm queuing these up so I can listen to them after the show, and I try to stop them before they start playing, and I'm not
More
quite.
than three notes, and you got to pay royalties.
Ah, dang it.
That's another reason I'm trying to stop it. Like, oh no, I don't want to get demonetized and everything.
No. We don't want that.
This is one of the reasons I use. This is one of the reasons I have an extension that prevents autoplay.
Oh, I should get
Yeah,
that.
it's
I should.
sometimes better.
I should get that. I think I will get that. 'Cause-
I think you need it for a good reason.
I think I need it. Yes, I apologize, everyone. I was just trying to, because these links are going to get lost in the chat, so I figured I'd queue them up in my browser to watch them later. It's like, oh no, they're starting. That's what happens when you do it live. So I apologize for that, everyone. But yeah, I did not know there was a Zoids game. The toys were great. I don't know if you guys played with the toys. They were terrific toys.
They were great.
Yeah, excellent toys.
Okay, man. I was a bit old back then for those, but still, they were nice.
Yeah, really well made and fun to play with. Kind of a weird size though. Like you couldn't mix and match them with just about anything else. But good toys. The cartoon though, that was a real shame because the cartoon could have been great and it wasn't.
There's been more than one adaptation.
Oh really? I only remember I only remember one from like the mid '80s that just wasn't very good and it wasn't on for very long.
Yeah, that one wasn't, but there have been other adaptations since then. Just so you know.
Oh, I did not know that. Were they better? Did they get better? I hope.
I only saw one part of one of them, so I can't really say.
Oh, okay. That's kind of heartening to know they kept trying because it's you'd think this would be a winner, robotic dinosaurs. I mean, you'd think this should be a slam dunk, you know.
And it had a great backstory. Don't forget that.
Yeah, I vaguely remember the backstory. There were all these weird dinosaur things in the 80s too, like dinosaurs and Cadillacs and dinosaurs and all this weird. There was some weird dinosaur stuff back in the 80s. Of course, the Dinobots. But yeah, Zoids was a great one. I didn't know there was a game. That's a terrific pick. That's going way back. Because I'll tell you what, on the PC, music wasn't much of a thing in the mid 80s. So I'm glad to hear the C64 had better sound hardware than the freaking PC speaker.
There was absolutely great music back then.
Kind of regret not having one.
I mean, Chris already mentioned Auf Wiedersehen Monty, the Monty Mole games, and they were great.
I've never heard of those. Never heard of those. Like at all. But anyway, all right, we've gone around the horn for two, so we're going to start throwing in a third entry if everyone has one. I do have a third entry.
You go through me for a second.
Oh God, sorry, David. I'm sleepy. I apologize. Please go with your second entry. I apologize.
So I'm just gonna say the name, and I don't know what number it's gonna be because I guess I'm in a similar situation like with X there. Metal Gear Solid.
Ooh.
I don't know which one though.
I'll just write down Metal Gear Solid series.
Yeah, because I was replaying the first one kind of recently. I gotta say, I do like the more synthy soundtrack that was in the very first game. Well, it is technically the third game, so to speak, but the first one in 3D, in three dimensions. So it had a little more synthy soundtrack before Harry Griggs and William was brought in for the second game, which also has a great soundtrack, which also the third one has. So yeah, most of them have a great soundtrack. So, but yeah, I'm pointing out to the first one right now because it kind of stands out. It's a little bit 90s, but kind of at the same time a little bit synthy 80s or whatever. It's hard to describe. Probably they had to.
When did the first one come out? The first Metal Gear game? Or Metal Gear Solid?
I think it was 98 or 97. Do you
Yeah, it was
got it on-
97 or 98 on the PS1.
But wasn't the first Metal Gear game? That was a different.
No,
Oh, no.
that was no. Metal Gear Solid is the
Oh.
first one where they went into 3D.
Oh, okay. I I remember.
I know you don't know this series.
I
As well
don't
as
know,
I do.
but and then you showed me a video about how crazy the series is, and I'm like, oh my god, how can anyone keep track of any of this?
Yeah, it's a thing. So yeah, it's the third game basically. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Well, yeah, you could say third, but the second one has kind of been disavowed by Kojima because it wasn't made by his team.
Oh, you mean Snake's Revenge? Oh yeah.
Yes, yeah.
Oh wow.
There's a lot of backstory that we shouldn't go into because it would take up the rest of the time and probably 2 more podcasts.
I mean,
I have no idea what you're talking about, Spence.
I mean, that video you showed me was, I think, 20 to 30 minutes long, and it covered the bare basics.
The very bare minimum.
The very bare
It was
minimum.
6 minutes even.
Was it? It
I think
felt,
so.
it felt longer because there's just so much. There's just so much. Yeah, it's. I don't know how anyone keeps track of any of that. It's all. Oh my god. I have a Metal Gear game. It's like 5, I think. Phantom Pain. I've never played it though.
It's good.
Okay, is it
Yeah,
worth?
it's sort of open world ish in the way that it handles the universe. That you decide how you want to take on missions, and the game adapts to your tactics. So if you keep attacking at night, they start installing searchlights around each of the bases. And
Sometimes
if
even
you start-
night vision goggles.
Yep, and if you start using headshots for every attempt you make on the bases, then they start wearing helmets to discourage that. So they adapt to your tactics. So you have to change things up so they don't adapt too quickly.
Spaz, I just come to conclusion. Could you say that Metal Gear Solid 5 Phantom Pain has a dynamic campaign?
To an extent.
Huh.
To an extent.
I apparently have 3 of these games. I've got Metal Gear, the Phantom Pain, Revengeance. The fuck? And
That's Revengeance is a remaster of if it starts with re in the subtitle, that means it's a remaster of one of the previous games. So
so that's a remaster of Vengeance, I guess.
no.
No. Oh, okay. I'm so confused. And I also
Don't make assumptions. Just go.
Ground Zeroes. That's the other one I have. So, are any of those worth playing? Just a quick tangent.
I'd go with.
It's a prologue to Phantom Pain.
I think of the games that you have, I would go with 5 personally.
Phantom Pain.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'll give that. Oh, it doesn't take up much space. That's nice. All right. I think I'll give it a shot. I love a good open world game as much as anybody.
And it has some things that you might like too. Like you can use balloons similar to the way that you can use them in Just Cause 4, except in this case, you are tagging people for pickup as POWs, and then you can recruit them.
Oh, that's nifty. That sounds fun. All right, so good pick, David. Sorry, I almost skipped you. I didn't mean to. That was an accident. So we've all done 2. So now we're going to just kind of do a quick fire third entry for everyone. I'll start. My third entry is still one of my favorite gaming soundtracks of all time. The original Fantasy General. The nice thing about this is that they've basically revamped. They've basically kept the sound. If there's a new Fantasy General that came out from Slytherin a few years ago, it's excellent. But the one thing they didn't really touch is the soundtrack because it's so good. They didn't really need to. So the soundtrack for the original Fantasy General from '96 is essentially the same one you'll find in the newer Slytherin version from a couple years ago now, I think. So it is an excellent soundtrack, very high fantasy. It's got some choirs in there. Beautiful, beautiful soundtrack that not only fits the game perfectly, but is just great to listen to by itself. I think some of these are actually existing tracks because my wife walked in one day when I was listening to it, and she knew the track. So I think some of these are like existed before the game, I think. Oh wait, Metal Gear Solid 5 has a lot of 80s music. Ooh, that's good to know. Thank you, Virgil. I did not know that. That kind of makes me want to play it a little more. So yeah, my third entry is Fantasy General from 1996. Amazing soundtrack, amazing game too. The original game still very playable. Plays great on modern systems because I believe it's a DOS title. Balls hard, super duper difficult, and there's no cheats. I remember reading an article where a guy who was reviewing the game was having such a problem with it, he wrote the developers and says, "Is there a cheat to help me get past this?" And he actually had tears in his eyes when they told him no. There are no cheats. But Fantasy General is a terrific fantasy war game. Oh my God. So good. So that is my third pick. Does anyone else have a third pick?
Yes, I do.
Go, Joey.
And I don't know about the rest of the soundtrack, but it's one of but it's in a particular one, and I'll link this, and it was from Burning Crusade back when I was silly enough to play World of Warcraft, and I almost always turned the music off. It was like play while turn off the music, but it was the Terakar Forest music. Whenever I hit the Terakar Forest, I turn the music back on, and it's orchestral, but it kind of hit a note. And if there ever were such a thing as foresty music, Terakar Forest music is it. So I don't know about the rest of the soundtrack, but this cut, it was my favorite.
I'm going to be honest. I always liked the music Blizzard did for pretty much all their games. Like, I enjoyed all the World of Warcraft music, and I thought the Warcraft soundtracks were great.
Not that the music was bad. I just always the thing is, I was in a very active guild, and I would spend all my time playing and talking to people from around the world. And if you have somebody's theme song, you're trying to talk to somebody in Australia, you got to say, what?
That makes sense.
I'd rather talk to Jondra, God rest her soul, in Australia than I would listen to the background music.
That makes sense. That makes sense. Yeah, if you're actually talking to other people, it makes sense you'd want to turn the music down or off. I didn't even think of that because I don't talk to people besides you guys.
Well, it was kind of like, okay, wait a minute. I'm in Terakar Forest. I got to turn the music on.
Excellent. Good pick. Anybody else got a third pick?
Of course.
Okay.
I mean, I told you before I could do several hours alone.
We are definitely revisiting this topic. Don't you worry. We are definitely going to revisit this at some point.
No, my third quickfire pick would be the MechWarrior 2 soundtrack.
That came up earlier, but yes. Oh my God.
Oh yeah.
It's so
legendary.
So good.
Legendary soundtrack. Oh my God. Right. One of the best. Dear Lord. I mean, not only it helped that the game was freaking excellent as well, but my God, that soundtrack was. I think that's one of the things. Like, I think that's, if I recall, that's one of the time. I think that's when people started to take notice of soundtracks in PC games, because I remember a lot of people talking about it back then. You know, like a lot of people were talking about not only MechWarrior 2 as a cultural phenomenon, but how good the music was. And I don't really recall people talking about PC gaming music before that. I think like Wing Commander would come up every now and again, but like I think Mech Commander 4 was 2 was kind of a touchstone in a lot of ways. Like, I remember people getting a PC just for MechWarrior 2 because it's just people were talking about it.
And I feel I should obligated to point out, just having found out, that there is a whole page of games for which the Rolling Stones have their music has been in the games.
Oh, okay. What? Give me some of them. Let's hear some of them. Do you have it in front of you?
Yes, I do. EA Sports, I don't know what the FC stands for, 24. Their new Hackney Diamonds, of course, Rocksmith for Guitar Heroes, Mafia 3, MLB The Show,
Okay.
the Tony Hawk games,
Right.
Band Hero.
All right. I mean, it makes
Grand Theft Auto 4, which I never would have suspected under my thumb. But that one kind of makes sense.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah.
Well, yeah, they licensed a lot of music for the series, so that makes perfect sense.
That does make sense.
Tony Hawk's Proving Grounds, Sympathy for the Devil from the Beggar's Banquet album. So
okay, that's okay. I mean, I shouldn't be surprised. It makes sense that they would license their music for video games. I just didn't think they'd ever like made music specifically for a video game. But
I don't know that it's made specifically for the game,
right?
Though.
But licensed for use in the game.
That does make sense. That does make sense. And like, if you love that soundtrack, like, what's a really good what's a really good soundtrack with a lot of licensed music in it? I guess the Grand Theft Auto games.
GTA games do have,
the Grand Theft Auto games do a really great job with that. That's true. I don't know if you guys have played the Guardians of the Galaxy game. The use of licensed music in that game is exceptional. Like it's woven into the story, and it's it's so good. Like I'm worried that game's going to be taken off eventually because it's got so much licensed music, but it's perfect for that game. Oh my god, that game is terrific. If you guys haven't played it, by the way, Guardians of the Galaxy. It doesn't have Chris Pratt, so don't worry about it. It's fine. Got a different guy playing Star-Lord, so it's okay. But yeah, I'm not surprised that the Rolling Stones are in GTA 4, which is like, I have to play GTA 4. I've heard that one's one of the best ones, and I keep hearing how good it is. So I need to play that one. All right. Anybody else got a third one?
Oh yeah,
I do. All right. So for Peter's sake, because he did ask me before the show in order to mention it, and he's just linked it in the chat. Deus Ex, that's his. So Deus Ex, the first one, has an excellent soundtrack. And mine, I was going to mention earlier, but a couple people beat me to it in the chat. Old World.
Oh yes. It's
one of Christopher Tin's best. Well, Christopher Tin does not make a bad soundtrack.
He does not make a bad soundtrack. But it's like he keeps getting better.
He cannot make a bad soundtrack.
But it's like he keeps getting better. And like Old World is his latest effort, and it's really one of the many reasons it's become my favorite 4X is the soundtrack. Oh, folks, if you play Old World and you're wondering why the music hasn't started yet, you have to research music in the game.
It's literally something you have to research.
You have to research it in the game to get music. And I think that's freaking hilarious. Like, it makes sense. It makes sense that that's something that like a civilization would have to come to, you know? So it's kind of perfect. So I love that in Old World, to get the soundtrack, you have to actually research music. I don't think there's another game that does that. To think of it, I don't think
there are games where you have unlocks in the way of, you earn in-game cash and then you spend that on unlocks, and I have played a few games in which one of the things to unlock is a soundtrack.
Oh, okay.
And in one particular game, the theme of it was that the game was bare bones to start off, and so by spending money in game, you're not actually paying real money. You are upgrading the game, the graphics, the sound, the music, the sprites, those get better as you upgrade, and then that's the concept of that. But yeah,
okay, that's pretty awesome. But those are both like I honestly I don't remember the soundtrack to Deus Ex because I'm so focused on not dying that I never remember the music. It's for me it's such a tense game. I've never got that far in it because it's so tense for me. It's such terrific entry though. And yeah, can't go wrong with Old World. It's about an hour. We should start wrapping up. Any more picks before we wrap up, everybody?
I got a quick
David
pick.
had one.
Okay, go ahead, David.
So Delta V.
Oh, yes. Excellent pick. Excellent game, which I'm terrible at.
Some people,
but excellent game.
yeah. Some people are saying like the theme for the game is a little bit repetitive or something like that, but I don't know if people have ever heard of a thing called leitmotif. I don't know.
What motif?
Yeah.
Leitmotif?
Like, I think it's called like that. That there's a central theme. The same notes are being used for a track, but maybe arranged with different instruments or whatever. So, like if you're here for Ring Lauda and hear Enceladus Prime's sound music in the game, you may notice that they sound exactly pretty much the same. Just they're a little bit more down tempo or whatever. And even the Comet theme is a little bit similar as well, I would say. But I really like that freaking soundtrack.
Yeah, it's an excellent soundtrack for an excellent game. If you guys haven't played Delta V, why are you listening to this podcast? I mean, seriously, we should all be.
The developer is awesome.
Oh, the developer is great, and we should all own Delta V at this point. Is it on sale right now? Hang on, let's just double check that.
I think it is.
Because right now, as we're recording, the Steam summer sale is going on. It is on sale for $5. Oh, that's absolutely worth it. 100%.
And also part of the Indie Space Alliance bundle. If you see that on the page, that is a bundle that was curated by members of our Discord server.
Yeah, and that bundle has like there's not really a bad game in there. You got Star Explorers, you got Approaching Infinity, Solar Settlers. My God, there's just absolute territory. Some amazing games in there. And is that on sale too? I can't tell right now because I have all the games. Was it $22? Oh my God, that's an astounding.
Yeah, I can't see it either.
Well, according to my add-on, it says $22.04, which is, my God, $22 for all those games. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, like 9 games that are all great. Oh man, get that bundle, y'all, if you haven't already, and support the developers in our Discord because we love our devs. We love our devs. That seems like a good place to wrap it up, unless anyone had any last-minute entries they wanted to throw in. Or are we good?
I think I'm ready to wrap it up.
Okay. Don't know where. I wish. I hope Jacob's okay. It didn't pop up at all.
Mr. Jacob.
I mean, hope he's all right. I mean, maybe he's napping. He's got a very busy schedule. So, folks, that's going to do it for today. Next week on the show, since it's summer and a lot of us are taking vacations, we are going to talk about where in a video game we would like to take a vacation. I've already got some ideas, so I think this could be a really fun topic. Now, it's not like a place we want to live, but a place we want to take a holiday, which is very different. So, because we did talk about like where we'd want to live. I think we did that topic a while back. But this is where we'd want to take a vacation. So that could be, I think, a really fun topic that we're going to talk about next week. And tomorrow is going to be my first Euro Truck Sim 2 stream. Very excited about that. Truck Sim Thursdays, starring tomorrow. I haven't even decided where to plop down my company yet. So I have no idea yet, but I'm excited to chill out, drive some trucks, and hang out with you guys, starring tomorrow. And again, thank you, chat. Excellent chat today. A lot of great mentions in the chat for some amazing soundtracks, like Total Annihilation was in there. The Endless series, excellent stuff. You know, just a lot of great reminiscing of your favorite soundtracks as well. So excellent soundtracks from the Discord, from the chat. I want to thank you all for hanging out. I want to thank our patrons for literally helping pay for things like Restream, so we all can chat to each other and I can stream to multiple platforms. If you haven't gotten vaccinated yet, please do so. We are in a pandemic still. We might be having a surge right now, even though they've kind of slowed down on tracking. Wastewater is showing, at least here in the States, that we're kind of in a surge right now. A friend of ours that never got COVID just got it for the first time. So get your shots, wear your masks because masks work. And don't forget, my friends, to wear your helmet. With that, we'll see you back here tomorrow for your